Hey guys, this is Kevin from Rock Anthems. I'm going to do a different video. What I'm going to do today is I want to show you what the products to use if you have a maple neck and you just got your guitar refretted like I did. When you get your guitar refretted with a maple neck, your guitar tech will sand all your finish off of it. I've already put in 3 coats of stain on this, and I believe I'm going to go ahead and put another coat on. So I'm going to show you this few steps here what you got to do. First thing you got to do, you want to tape off your pickups. So I put some tape on my pickups here, see? See, I put some masking tape on the pickups because you use steel wool to sand it off. Okay, so then I'll cover my guitar with a t-shirt to keep it, covered as much as possible. So let me see if I can show you. Back it up here. This is the original color. It might be hard to see the color, but I've got the right here, it looks perfect, but up in here it's a little light. So, and what I've put in 3 coats of stain on already, and what you need to do is let it dry for 12 hours between coats. It tells you on your can to let it dry for 6 hours, but it's just a little bit sticky and it won't sand off clean, and I've got a nice professional job here. I'm using the Minwax Honey Poly Shades Honey Pine. It's called Honey Pine Satin, and it says 310. I don't know if it still says that, but anyway, this is the color that you use. I've done this before on this guitar and it matched perfectly. So, and then after you get that, this is going to take you about a week to finish. This is a polyurethane clear gloss Minwax fast drying polyurethane. You use a lacquer thinner to clean your brush. I use a sable brush. I do artwork, and you can't use you could use a sponge foam brush, but it really doesn't work very good because it puts on way too much material, and it globs up the color or the varnish or whatever. So I prefer to use a artist brush, and you use an artist brush just because the hairs aren't going to fall out of your brush when you use like a sable brush or a higher quality brush. You can go to like Michael's to get one. This is I do artwork, and this is one that fell off, that the handle fell off, so I'm just using this, and I clean it with lacquer thinner. It's a little bit stiff, but it still cleans out pretty good. And so I've let this dry. I have 3 coats of stain on it. You want to use a dust mask, and then when you clean it off with lacquer, you want to use gloves. And if you put it on too heavy, then you just get like an old sock or something, and you put lacquer thinner on it. You can clean off all of this with lacquer thinner if you rub it. You can clean it all the way off if you want. Okay, your steel wool that you use to sand it is the fine steel wool, grade 0000. You can get all this stuff at Home Depot, and then you need like a vacuum or something, or just a brush to clean it up after you're done. So I'm going to sand this. This is my 3rd coat, so I'm going to sand it, and I'm going to feel it, see how it is, and it's really pretty smooth. I almost can leave it alone. Well, let me just, this is my 3rd coat, so I'm sanding it a little lighter than I would. The last few coats I've done, I've had to, there was some bubbling and some junk on there, so I had to sand it a little bit more. This is and then I'll sand on top of my frets because there's a little bit of junk on there from the stain, and I can kind of feel it, you know, getting a little smooth. I let this dry for like 12 hours, so it says to let it dry for 6, but it just doesn't. It just works out a lot better if you let it dry for 12. I'm sanding mostly on the frets right now because there's a little bit of junk on there. And you know, if you do have junk on your frets when you finish it, when you play with your strings, it'll clean it off anyway. But you know, so this is a lot better than the last time. It feels really smooth. There's a few places that are a little rough, you know, so like bubbles and this and that. And since this is really fine, it's going to give you just a really nice shiny surface when you get it all done. Yeah, that feels just great. And this in here, it's really nice. So yeah, it's a little bit harder with a maple neck. You know, if you have a rosewood, you don't have to go through all this. But I think maple necks play better, faster, and I just, if you leave it unvarnished, it's going to get really dirty really quick. So, let me do this really quick, and there's going to be a vacuum. Alright, so that's all cleaned up. You know, if you want to clean it up further, you can get an old sock and do that. And then I'm going to put one more coat of stain on and show you how that is. You put the varnish on exactly the same way, you know, and you can sand it between coats and all that. But let me show you. This is how. Get a little brush and put that on, and it says to go with the grains, but you know, I'll put it on this way and I'll go with the grain. But you know, you can't really, after you do this and it's on there for a few minutes, you can't really go back and mess with it because it will mess up the total color, you know. You'll have white spots and crap in it if you go back and try to touch it up a little. You know, you can. The reason why it gets on the frets is because sometimes it will cool up by the frets. So I'll go like that, and that will actually put some on the top of the frets too, but you know, you can sand it off. So that's how you do it. And I don't know if you can see any of the color change. It gets darker every time. Some necks are really light. This one is maybe medium. I'm trying to kind of match that. And I think this will be the last coat, but what I'm going to do, it looks like the first two are really light, even though that the light's there, and it's darker down here. So I may do the first two over again, and I think this is the last coat I'm going to do on the rest, and then when I varnish it, it'll bring everything out. So what I'm going to do is I'll make another video after I varnish it, and after it's all done. So there you go. Easy enough. It goes on really nice with a brush. So and then if you have junk in there, you can see a little bit of junk on there. You get it off there and rub it on a rag, you know. And then down here towards the skinnier parts, that's why I have a skinnier brush. Then I can go sideways and it'll go right in between these frets. And you don't have to worry about if you get it on the frets, because you can always sand it off a little bit, you know. So just spread it off there evenly. And there it is. Perfect. Like I say, you can't really work it in, but I see a little piece of junk here. So as long as you catch it within the first few minutes, then you can do a little bit to it, you know. Alright, so there you go.